let's get into some modern sports just because, I have you on the line and we haven't had a chance to do a show in about 2 weeks. So something that's been kind of sort of interesting to me is the NBA as far as what they're going to do when the coronavirus is over. I personally think that they should just scrap the remaining 18 to 19 games, maybe do 2 or 3 tune-up games, and then go into the postseason without reducing the postseason, because a lot of people want to do a three-game first round, a 5-game second round, and then 7 games for Eastern Conference Championship.
Yeah, like
and
in
the
a bridge
finals.
playoffs.
Exactly. What do you think the NBA should do if when we can do stuff again?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I think the when is a big part there because who knows? I mean, if we even get this season back in time, there's so much that we're going to have to. I mean, I think people really haven't thought about kind of the logistics of how we get stuff started back up. We're going to have to test all of these people before we put them back in an NBA arena together. I'm with you, though. Scrap the rest of the regular season. If we get an NBA season at all, just go right into the playoffs. I think the players are fine with that. I hadn't thought about what you said with the tune-up game, and I think what might work here, maybe we use these teams that aren't making the playoffs, and that's your tune-up game. We play a couple of games. Playoff teams are only going to play non-playoff teams for a couple of games. Those can be road games even. Maybe we give these teams that aren't going to make the playoffs a few home games, hosting a playoff team to get some revenue. I like that tune-up idea. Maybe we just do some inter-squad scrimmages, something to work the rust off, get these players ready to go. But yeah, I don't see a reason to play the rest of the regular season. You're going to be so far behind. It's going to be about timing. If we get this season off, it's going to be about timing, like you brought up, and it's absolutely got to be shortened. I think I wouldn't do 3-game series the whole way through. I wouldn't shorten it that far. I think at a certain point, Shaheed, we risk doing this for no reason, where people just say, oh, I don't really consider that a real NBA championship. If you hate whoever wins, it's going to be really easy for you to discredit this. If LeBron wins one in LA, a lot of people are going to say, oh, I don't really count that for his legacy. That's the only thing I would worry about is diluting the games down to a point where people say you didn't really earn it. But if we're going to end up doing an NBA season, I think it's got to be just playoffs and that's it. I'm with you there.
Yeah, because the main thing that I don't want to happen is that this NBA season has been a very good NBA season coming down the stretch. You got LeBron and the Lakers. You got the Clippers. You
It's
already know
been
what's
competitive.
going on in
We've
the
been
East.
begging for it.
Exactly. So we can't have LeBron in a position to win a championship and then sabotage him by making him play meaningful games and he's rusty.
And it's been brought up, maybe they do this in Vegas or just to pick a central place. I still think people at that point might say, oh, well, he didn't go on the road. I think people are going to dilute whatever happens if we get some sort of playoffs off. What I'd want to do is mitigate that as much as possible.
So this is what Jay Williams suggested, and I just want to know if you think this is stupid. A Eastern Conference ship, like a battleship, and a Western Conference ship, like a battleship, and have all of the conference games played on ships out at sea. What do you think about that?
How desperate are we if we get to that? I mean, I get, if is the quarantine we need to go out to ocean. We can't just do something equally as isolated on land. The reason I'm not super expecting anything like that to come to fruition. Do you remember we did this in college basketball, right? We did those Carrier Classics, and like half of them got canceled because the conditions weren't good, the courts were slippery or something like that. There's too much moisture because we're doing this out on the ocean and the humidity just stuck to everything. I just don't know how reasonable it is. And if we're getting to the point where we're like, oh man, we gotta do this, we gotta find a ship to put these guys on. Couldn't we find an island? Couldn't we go to the Bahamas? They play basketball tournaments for college in the Bahamas. We do one of those things. Get the hotel, turn the dance hall into a basketball court. I think putting guys on aircraft carriers, Shaheed, out in the ocean is way down the line. It's so far down the line, I don't know if they'd get to that. They'd probably just cancel the season before they did a battleship. It'd be incredibly interesting. I mean, it'd be hilarious to have an NBA season played out on a battleship, but I got to think they cancel the season before they go to that.